This is part 4 of the twin flame love story between Aparna and Manish. If you are new here, please listen to the previous parts first, as this story contains high energetic shifts and sudden revelations. Please do not go ahead if the energy of the story feels very heavy and unsettling to you. This part focuses on a powerful soul merge that occurred during Aparna's menstrual cycle and the subsequent spiritual revelations. So now let's start. It was the first month of Aparna's meeting with Manish in the astral realm, and her periods was approaching. Since childhood, she was taught that during the periods, one must stay away from temples, from divine objects and holy things. So this is a belief system in India that when a woman is in her menses, in her menstrual cycle, she is not allowed to enter temples and she is abstained from the activities or any activity which is related to worship or which is related to God. So this is a belief system that is there in the society here. So this way Aparna was taught that during the periods one has to stay away and has to abstain from divine meetings or divine objects and holy things. Aparna was now stressed out that she would have to stay away from Manish during these days because she viewed Manish's energy as pure and divine. So internally, she started feeling this fear of distance, and it started pulling Aparna into a sort of trauma thing. So now, when you realize that what is the extent of your soul's longing, it literally surpasses everything and it won't settle down. So the energy inside her and the fear inside her that was creating that could create distance for these 2-3 days between Aparna and Manish, it created a mental blockage. So this stress became a blockage in her meditation. In a twin flame journey, personal insecurities and fears act as walls that prevent the twins from reaching each other. So this created a mental blockage, and due to this stress, she wasn't able to meet Manish, though she decided to meet him and to convey everything to him, but then it couldn't happen. Manish, on the other side, could not help her until she opened herself to the experience and gave her consent through an affirmation. So this is the law of free will that acts within the twin flames also. The law of free will is with each and every human being. So Manish could not help her until she opened herself to the experience and gave her consent through an affirmation. Because of her intense stress and trauma, her period arrived 10 days early. So this process actually was a preponement by her spirit guides so that the stress wouldn't block her for the next 10 days. See the extent how our spirit guides influence our bodies and our lives. With the intent of the stress had to have an end, the period date was preponement by her spirit guides and the period arrived 10 days early. Now, like many women in a rigid societal structure, Aparna was expected to work even when in pain. In India, it happens that A woman is not allowed to rest during this time. So the society structure is very much rigid, and Aparna was expected to work even when she was having pain in her body. So she thought that she would keep herself busy to distract from the stress of not being able to meet Manish. So the very same morning when the period preponement already happened, one morning while resting, she felt a very strong physical presence. It wasn't just energy. She felt the sensation of fingers and skin on her arms. So this was basically physical presence, almost as if she was feeling the physical touch on her arms and fingers. Now at this point she started hearing Manish's communication to her. For the first time she heard Manish's voice clearly in her mind. He told her, "I have no problem with your period. I will come to you. I have no problem with your periods. I will come to you." So this way Manish touched her third eye. Before she could resist, Manish touched her third eye and her consciousness shifted to a new space. The consciousness of Aparna shifted into a new space, and this space was her childhood room in her parents' house. Please listen to it carefully. Manish touched her third eye and her consciousness shifted to a new space, which was her childhood room in her parents' house. This was actually the opening of a fourth dimension portal, which is very much close to Earth. This was the opening of the 4D portal. In this 4D dimension, she and Manish lived together like a married couple or lovers. And this secret space and sacred at the same time, it was away from any interference. So Manish took her consciousness into her parents' home, it was almost like we are daydreaming. This sort of sense. So at this room of Aparna, which was at her parents' house, she and Manish lived together like a married couple into this room or lovers. And this sacred space was away from any external interference. In this space, Manish began to replace her old spiritual memories of Lord Krishna. So I have discussed this in the part 2 of video, how Aparna developed a love affair with Krishna, and all her memories with Krishna were into this room only. So she stepped into that dimension and she had a spiritual past and feelings, emotions attached to this room. So in this space, Manish began to replace her old spiritual memories of Lord Krishna. The love she once projected towards the deity was now being directed toward and received from Manish. Like the God which Aparna was already looking for in her life to be present, Manish slowly started replacing Lord Krishna into this memory of hers. The love she projected towards Krishna was now being directed toward and received from Manish. Manish began healing her physical period pain. She felt a deep warmth spreading from her legs to her stomach, to shoulders and to head. So this was the inner warmth feeling that was happening into her body. So Manish began healing her physical period in pain. So at this time, Manish was performing a two-way healing. One part of Aparna was into the 4D dimension. Manish was healing her legs, her stomach, her shoulders, and her head into that 4D dimension with the warmth of hands. And this had a direct effect on Aparna's body lying down and resting. So, this was a two-way healing that was happening. In her thoughts, Manish held her gently. Manish held her gently, and this touch swept away all her stress and the mental blockage regarding her period. It was so loving, it was so comforting, and at the same time very powerful that this touch literally took away, almost swept away all her stress and the mental blockage that was there regarding her period into her mind. I will make you rest, Manish told her. And this was a thought communicated into Aparna's mind, and miraculously, her family, her mother-in-law, who usually expected work at this time, told her to go and rest. So this was the first time happening in her life. So at the same time, Aparna is at two places. The consciousness of Aparna is in the 4D dimension with Manish, and she is into her body also. So while her body is waking up and getting freshened up, the thoughts exchange is still going on between Manish and Aparna. And Manish is asking to freshen up quickly and to lie down again so that again both of them can be together into 4D dimension. In this 4D dimension, Aparna's psychic senses were highly active. She even experienced clairgustance, which is the ability to taste and smell things Manish gave her, like coconut water and some sweets also, and without eating them physically. So this means when you eat something and then you got to get the taste in your physical body. So when you eat it through mouth, you got to get the taste. But here, this ability, clairgustance, got activated, and Manish was making her eat and drink into this fourth dimension, and the taste she was getting into her mouth in her body. Every meeting was not just a romance. It was actually a package of spiritual growth involving her sexual energy, psychic senses, and consciousness. And this is how each and every meeting of Manish and Aparna, it used to turn into a continuous spiritual growth. Please read about Tilak, Tilak. This is a red dot which we use in India and it is usually put at the place of third eye between the eyebrows. So this is considered very sacred here in India, and it is a blessing that comes from God to us. So please read about this a little, even a statement or a line, so that you will be able to understand what is happening, because this part contains a high level energy of the divine feminine. So soon after this, the moment of shame arrived into this moment. During a strong physical cramp which was happening into Aparna's body, during a strong physical cramp, Aparna felt an intense flow of blood out from her body, and due to this, Aparna pushed Manish in embarrassment into the 4D dimension. So the story here is going into 2 dimensions simultaneously. She felt a strong physical cramp into the body, which is on earth in her room. In a 3D dimension, Aparna felt an intense flow of blood. And as she felt this into her body, it directly affected on the 4D dimension and she pushed Manish away in embarrassment. She felt dirty, bad, because of her societal beliefs. Manish did not get angry. Instead, he took a drop of her period blood and he applied it as a tilak on his own forehead to honor the state. Please listen to it carefully. Manish did not get angry when Aparna pushed him. Instead, he took a drop of her period blood and he applied it as a tilak, as a dot on his own forehead to honor her state. And this was happening into the 4D dimension. This act destroyed the shame and guilt Aparna had been taught since childhood. This act hit her heart chakra with intense love, challenging her belief system. She began to cry uncontrollably, releasing years of suppressed emotions, feelings of abandonment and non-acceptance, and it was a very heavy emotional release that happened at this time. In a twin flame journey, when one twin releases heavy emotions, the other fills that empty space with eternal love. As she calmed down, she heard the words twin flame for the first time and saw an image of 2 merging flames. So till now, till into the proceeding of all these incidents, she had no idea of twin flame. So she heard these words very clearly and for the first time saw an image of 2 merging flames. Manish used time travel to show her that while she was crying 5 minutes earlier, where she was into the emotional release, he was feeling her exact pain and crying with her. This was actually a shared pain. The emotional release that happened 5 minutes back, it was a shared pain. Manish couldn't stop himself and he merged his energy deeply with hers. This was the first true soul merge which lasted for what felt like an hour. Manish merged his energy deeply with hers, and this was the first true soul merge which lasted for what felt like an hour. This merge shifted her timeline, flushing out her guilt and shame and replacing it with the lesson that she is lovable and she deserves love. This was the timeline shift that happened into her consciousness. After 4 days and being free from her periods, Aparna began researching twin flame, Shiv Shakti and Kundalini. Her research validated everything she had experienced. Her Kundalini energy began to move in waves up on her spine now when she was meditating. Manish acted as a guide, ensuring she could handle the energy without fear, and all the information regarding Kundalini used to reach her through her phone or through some media. And this is the way Manish ensured that Aparna shouldn't be in any sort of fear. What happens is that when the souls of the twin flames merge, they create a new understanding and a new reality that gives the direction for the path ahead. When two souls merge, it doesn't definitely mean that some third energy is created, but in twin flames, this also creates a new understanding and a direction for the path ahead. So please do a self analysis of the story and the facts that are discussed here, the concepts of twin flame love that have been discussed here, and I'll see you in the next part of the story. Thank you.